Hey guys, I have been waiting for this live chat for, well, ever since yesterday, ever since watching the first two episodes, which I found amazing. So I'm hoping a lot of people will come to this chat, and I'm hoping to recruit more people to watch and maybe get some new people watching this channel who watch Twin Peaks, since I know it's not a show that everyone's going to watch who watches my typical shows, just because you have to watch the first two seasons and the movie. I think you would be incredibly lost if not. But if you're in the room, let me know. I know that Fornius was in the room earlier. I'm not sure if you're back yet. And then I know Ralph said that he would be here. But I've actually watched all 4 episodes at this point, because if you didn't know, you can watch the parts 3 and 4 on Showtime on the app or on their site online if you have a subscription to Showtime. But I'm going to devote this chat to the first and second parts, just because I know not everyone has had time to watch all 4. So there's so much to talk about from just the first 2 parts that we could literally be here for hours. We're not going to do that, but oh my gosh, I don't even know where to start. So I'm hoping some people will join the room and let me know what you thought about these 2 episodes. Again, let's focus on parts 1 and 2, and what were your favorite parts or favorite characters. Who were you glad to see? There were new people. Yes, the chocolate bunnies. I think that's in part 3 though, Ralph, right? Very funny though. Gokai, yes, it's really good. So hopefully you have a chance to just watch the first 2 seasons and the movie. Hi, Marissa. Thank you so much for being here. But thank you everyone for being here. I will just go ahead and give you my thoughts, I guess. Let me see if I can put them together for the first 2 episodes. First of all, if you didn't know, the woman who played the log lady passed away, I believe, earlier this year. So it kind of made me sad to see her parts in, I think she was in part 1. Maybe she was in last night, in the episodes last night. She seemed very weak, and she talked about being weak, and I think she was sick on the show. You know, she actually played kind of what she was going through in real life, because she died from cancer. I love it that they included her in the show. I thought that it was great to bring her back for season 3, and that just made me sad when she was talking to Hawk. But I think you could just tell like how weak and sick she was, which is really sad. So we saw Leland again, and that was great. I kind of had a feeling he would be back, and my goodness, he looks pretty much the same. That's Ray Wise. Like literally him, and then the woman who plays Lucy looks the same. So that's crazy. I love the fact that Laura was back for just a little bit. I love seeing Shelly and James for a tiny bit. Ralph says very bold for Lynch to have the log lady act while sick. Very cool. I thought that was really awesome. You know, it was interesting because the first 2 parts were a huge combination of all kinds of things. First of all, since the show's on Showtime now, a lot more can be done with the show, and I actually am loving it more than the first 2 seasons, because, well, we're in modern times now, and plus the technology has improved so much. And when they're trying to do all the different supernatural things, to me, watching this show, the first 2 seasons in present day, a lot of the effects looked really hokey and silly. And you know, I'm sure at the time though they weren't. Like maybe in the early 90s they looked legit, but now with the crazy things going on in the show and the special effects and everything, they're amazing, because we are in present day and we can do better things now. Things have advanced. So I think that that part is awesome. And the fact that it's on Showtime, we have a lot more things that we didn't have when it was on network television. That includes like some nudity so far, very graphic scenes so far, graphic killings. I'm not saying like I'm happy for all of that, but you know, I think with the supernatural aspects and the special effects that they want to do, I think that it's helpful to be able to go farther in the nature of being graphic with Showtime than they could like if they were on ABC. Even though, you know, ABC and stuff, you can do pretty much whatever anymore, because like, hello, How to Get Away with Murder does a lot of stuff and really pushes the envelope. The Giant, I missed your comment, Fornius, but the Giant, yes, looked really good, looked very much like himself from back in the day. I mean, everyone looks like themselves, but just talking about how many years it's been, and some of the people looked really similar to when I just watched them in the 90s. Dadson says you really loved it. You watched the first 3 episodes. You enjoyed the parts outside of Peaks, but everything in the town has been so heartwarming so far. So we still get the aspect of those heartwarming scenes. And the stuff that I particularly loved about the first 2 seasons were the characters and getting to know them and their backstories and trying to find out who killed Laura Palmer. Now, that's what I liked. The supernatural stuff in the first 2 seasons, I wasn't really a fan of, and I think that's because I'm watching it in present day, and it just seemed hokey to me. But now that we can do that with the technology that we have now, I'm more on board with that, and it's better for me. So, and I kind of felt like I would enjoy it more being back in having us in present day. Something else I enjoy about it so far is that it's taking place in a lot of different locations across the US, and that's something we did not see in the first 2 seasons. We have New York in parts 1 and 2, South Dakota. We even have more locations in the 3rd and 4th parts. So I like that. Plus, there's a lot of new characters, and there's a lot of people we haven't seen who are new characters, and we don't know what they're doing. Also, we did not see Audrey, and we had some discussion about her, and I still don't know what is up with her. She wasn't mentioned at all, but we did see her dad and her dad's brother, and I thought that was hilarious. Her dad does look very different to me. His brother looks very different to me. I mean, that doesn't mean I'm not criticizing them. I mean, I think it's been 27 years. So obviously you and I are going to look very different if we film something 27 years in the future, you know? Dadson says Andy and Lucy are so cute. You smiled so much when you saw Andy's last name on Lucy's nameplate. They're just like they've always been. Absolutely agree. Now it says Lucy Brennan, very cute. I thought, wow, she has a computer now. She's so modern, but she's still dressing like she did in the 90s, and her hair is still like 90s hair. And I love Andy and Lucy, and I love them together. I think they are amazing. And, you know, what's cool about this show is there's so many elements of it. There's a very much of like a horror aspect. There's a sci-fi aspect. There's a investigative, trying to figure out who did what aspect. But then there's like a humor to it. And then there's like a really cool like drama side, and a side where there's relationships, and I don't know. There's so much. And for those of you wondering like what type of show this is, I would just try to start watching it. It's very hard to explain. But I do recommend it. I know a couple people in here haven't watched it before. I will say that there's a lot of spoilers going on in this chat. So if you're hoping to watch it, keep that in mind. But I would just give it a try. It's on Netflix, so you might want to try it for yourself. Or if you don't want to do that, you can probably find a synopsis online, and there's a synopsis on YouTube. But it's something that it's really hard for someone to say, like, what's that about? It's funny because I was looking at tweets from last night, and someone said, like, what if someone asked me at work tomorrow what happened on Twin Peaks last night? And it's like, oh my God, like, I'm going to film a video after we're done here, and I'm trying to think really hard about putting all of my thoughts in order about 2 hours of the show, the 2-hour premiere, because it's so much. And if I had to explain it, actually people have asked me, like, people who've never watched this have asked me in my real life, like, what is this about? And I'm like, well, simply said, it's about the murder of a high school teenager and who committed it, but there's so much more to it than that. That's the best way I can say that to you if you're new to it. Fornius feels like the horror was much stronger in these 2 episodes than what we had in the original 2 seasons, and those were pretty scary at times with Bob. Absolutely agree, because for me, watching it in present day from the 90s, there were some scary moments, but mostly it was hokey. But it would be just like if I tried to watch Nightmare on Elm Street or Friday the 13th. Currently, I would think they were so silly. It's just because technology has advanced, you know. The thing in the cell next to Matthew Lillard was horrifying. I absolutely agree with you. I'm not really sure what that was. If anybody knows, let me know. Matthew Lillard just made my life. I have not tried to investigate too much about who's in the new season. I kind of know from talking to you guys. But for some reason, I didn't know he was going to be in this. So it's like all of my dreams from childhood are coming true, because I have Matthew Lillard in this show, and I have Skeet Ulrich in Riverdale, which were the 2 killers from Scream, the original Scream movie. So of course I'm a huge Scream fan, and I love Matthew. I think I probably like him better than Skeet, but they're both great. And I love seeing him again, and I thought he did wonderful in the 1 episode that he was in. So that's great. What a great addition, you know? And there's a lot of things where there's a lot of things that happen that I'm not really sure what happened. I mean, and I'm trying to keep straight like the first 2 episodes and the last 2 episodes because I want to not spoil anything. So yeah, the goal is to get Cooper back to good old Cooper. I love Cooper's character, the good, nice Cooper. And I'm hoping that he can return to that and we get rid of this terrible person who is basically Bob that's been inhabiting him in another form, his doppelganger. I love the way that they're portraying him that way because he looks like Bob. So it's kind of an homage in a way to Bob, who the actor who played Bob is dead. So I think they definitely would have tried to get him, Frank Silva, in the show if possible, but obviously we can't. So when he is Bob, the doppelganger that's possessed by Bob, he looks like Bob, which I think is such a perfect way to portray him. Also, I love the very beginning of episode 1, part 1, with Laura saying, "I'll see you in 25 years." I don't think there could be a more perfect opening scene for the continuation of this series. Is this a TV show where you can build your own theories? That's what Gokai is asking. Well, I'm sure there's going to be a lot of theorizing in the new season. There was definitely the chance for that when it first started because we were trying to figure out who killed this teenage girl. And it was really hard to figure it out. It was kind of surprising who did it. So yeah, I'm sure you can definitely, eventually we can theorize about stuff. Ralph says, speaking of Skeet, Shelly eyeing Bobby, does Madgen have a thing for bikers? Right. So yeah, well, that's something I'm trying to figure out about what is going on with Shelly and Bobby. I feel like they're not together anymore, but Shelly mentioned she had a daughter. And then, oh, you're talking about FP. Okay, yeah, I gotcha. She definitely does. Like, she likes the bad boys. But I don't know what's going on with James. It was almost like something had gone on with her and James, or maybe not. I don't know. I mean, we're not going to have Donna in this season, so we lose that element, and Donna was like his girl, you know, so I don't know what James is doing, but I thought he looked really good, honestly. I'm not sure how old he is, but I think he looks almost better than he used to. I don't know. Dadson says your favorite part so far has been the scene in the bar at the end of episode 2, Shelly and Bobby's moment. Sad James. It was perfect. I loved it. Yeah, so theories are probably going to be possible again, but supernatural elements is heavy on. I think it's actually more prevalent than in the first 2 seasons. I feel like it's really supernatural this time around. Which I'm okay with. I felt almost a little American Horror Story-ish. Yeah, Bobby wasn't in the first 2 parts, right? If he was, I didn't see him. Somebody said that God, I thought he died though. Somebody said, what's his name? Is it Jacques, or does Jacques have someone his family still alive? They said he was the bartender in that scene. Not Bobby in the bar. Yeah, that was a different guy, right? Bobby was not in the bar because Bobby has like super white, you know, his hair just went gray or whatever, and he left it that way. What am I expecting for this show for this season? That's a really hard question, Gokai, just because it's just so much has happened and I don't really know. And actually, I'm okay with not knowing. And I think probably people who've watched all of the episodes feel the same way, but we'll see. Dadson says it's sad that Truman and Donna won't show up. They were so important to the last episode. So Truman was the sheriff, and his brother has taken over the role as sheriff. Not his real brother, but the character, his brother. There's a new Renault brother, and he's the bartender. Okay, I was trying to figure that out. But anyway, I'm okay with what they did because the guy who played Harry Truman, the sheriff, had retired from acting a long time ago, so they weren't going to be able to bring him back. So they just had this person who I think was supposed to play him, who is playing his brother, who is not the sheriff, and it's fine. And they actually still talk about Truman and say that he's not feeling well, he's sick or something. I don't know if they're going to try to kill him off or what, because we know we're not going to see him again unless they have some big surprise up their sleeves. Dadson says Jacques actor was in the bar. He was credited as another Renault. So yeah, because he died, right? So we've got a relative or something of him. He looked just like him because he was him. There we go. So thank you. So there's 18 episodes, which is great. So we've got the first 4 available now if you want to watch them. The second, or the parts 3 and 4 will air next Sunday. So you can wait then, or you can watch it on the app or whatever. And then I think the following week we'll just go with 1 episode a week. I could be wrong about that. Robert Forrester, thank you. You were right about Hawk being the one to find Cooper. So right. And that some of that gets really confusing, but good Cooper was in the Black Lodge and we knew that, and that was said in the movie. And that's all I can say about that for parts 1 and 2. I think I'm just going to keep this as the title says, just because I don't want to jumble in 3 and 4 and someone like watch this later and be like, oh my God, I haven't watched that, because getting spoiled is the worst, even though nothing major happens in 3 and 4, but still we're going to keep that on the down low. But yeah, I mean, I thought I would like the new season, but it's weird to me because I almost feel like I watched it when some of you guys watched it, because I'm actually that excited about it and I really like the new season. And people have said, I read some reviews about it online, and people were like, if you didn't watch it back in the 90s, you probably are not going to appreciate it. Like if if you're just new to it, which I am still pretty new to it, they're like, you're not going to appreciate this. You're not going to like it because it's very heavy on the supernatural stuff, and there's a lot of gore to it and graphic killings, etc. Which I'm a horror fan, so maybe that makes me different. But anyway, I do like it. So that I don't know. So I do. You don't want to spoil, but where were the weird parts with Leland and Laura in 1 and 2? Oh well, they were by themselves, but they were both in the Black Lodge. And it's okay to talk about anything in parts 1 and 2 because that's what the title says. But Laura she comes to Cooper and tells him who she is, good Cooper, and she gives him some information, I think, to help him get out. And then Leland, I forgot what he said. He had like a really small part, but he's trapped in that lodge too. Hi, Jay. Thank you so much for being here. An audible whisper says, Cooper says in season 2, Hawk, if I ever get lost, I hope you're the man they send to find me. So that's perfect. And that's what happens with assistance from the log lady. So we have, honestly, I feel like we don't have a lot from the old characters. We do have Dr. Jacoby. I'm not really sure what he's up to. We know he's kind of a hippie and he's doing some hippie-ish things, like he lives by himself out in the woods or whatever. I'm not really sure if that means anything to the story, but we got that going on. But I feel like the first 2 seasons were very heavy on the drama, the romances, blah, blah, blah. And, I read that the guy who played Leo, who I think was still alive when we were finished with the first 2 seasons, and he was in the movie, he's not going to be in this, which I can't stand him, but I feel like, we kind of needed him in there. I don't know, but he's not going to be in there. Ralph says the new season is still weird because it's unbelievable that everyone is back. Yeah, I mean, it is. And it's probably more unbelievable to people who watched it in the 90s, but yeah. And everyone looks recognizable, absolutely, Oh, okay. So he's making gold shovels to sell to property land openings. I get you. So like when they're doing the ribbon cuttings and stuff. Okay. I didn't really know. And then that's kind of in the other, it's not really a spoiler, but that's in the last couple of episodes. But yes, Callie is here. Thank you so much for being here. But yeah, what else have we not talked about that you guys enjoyed from those first 2 episodes? Honestly, it's a show that I just watched it with like not, everything turned off last night, no phones, no interruptions, because I feel like it's a show that you really need to pay attention to, and I want to devote my attention to it. And what I'm planning on doing is these types of live chats and then videos where I sit down and talk to you guys. I am not planning on doing like reaction videos at this time, just because when I do those, sometimes I can't give my full attention to it, and I just kind of want to be able to watch it for myself and on my own and then tell you what I think. Dadson says you teared up when Log Lady showed up. Those scenes had to have been filmed very soon before her real life death. Did she die in 2015? I didn't know it was up. Not that that's a long time ago, but those definitely had, I feel like she had trouble just holding up that, pretend phone. Yeah, absolutely. Ralph says Cooper being Bob sucks because he is awesome. Well, this is crazy to me, but Kyle is by far the big star of this new season, and he's good. Like, it's very cool to see him in different roles is what I'll say so far. And he's killing it, you know, because we never really got to expand on, he was always the really nice Cooper, and he's not. Jay asking, should you watch Twin Peaks? It's kind of boring. It was very hard for me to get into, especially since it was a show filmed in the 90s, and a lot of you guys don't have a problem with that. But for me, I just felt like I was in a time warp or something, and it was weird. But it was worth it. And it was sometimes a struggle, I'll be honest, because I just couldn't get into it. But now that I've watched it, I'm very glad, because I can appreciate the new season. And I'm curious to see if anyone's going to try to watch season 3 without watching the first 2 seasons. And if that is you, please leave a comment here if you're watching this later, or if you're watching this live, and let me know how that works out for you. I feel like you needed to watch the first 2 seasons, but if anyone thinks they've been successful without, let me know, because I know there's a lot of people on my channel who want to watch but don't want to watch the first 2 seasons. So I don't know. Maybe you can try that out. Dadson says Albert's actor passed away too. It's sad seeing him. Yes, yes. Fornia says Cooper reminds you of, I've never seen No Country for Old Men, so that I don't understand. But yeah, I don't know. But yeah, the arm is really weird. The arm is so weird. What is the situation with Michael J. Anderson? Explain that. I mean, the one-armed man looks pretty much the same to me too, right? I don't know. He looks very similar. Hi, Nick. Thank you so much for being here. Agree with you. I loved the episode so much. Marissa says the fact they're trying things from 25 years ago to now really shows good writing. Love the small things that link old with new. Yes, and there's little things that if you'll watch really closely, you will catch. Something that's small, but I caught it in I think episode 4 or part 4 we'll talk about later on. And I was like, wow, that's really cool that they put that there, you know. We'll talk about that later. But if you just pay attention to the background of scenes and such, then you will see things that are just, that link everything together. Lionel says, you think people who haven't watched anything about the show might be like, what the hell am I watching? That's what I think. But sometimes I feel like that even watching it, even with some of the stuff that happened last night, I was like, what is going on? Like the glass box, the whole thing with the glass box, which Nick is saying is a teleportation device. That was some craziness with the introduction of new characters there that we'd never seen before. That was different, very different, I will say. Ralph says Miguel Ferrer, I don't know how you say his last name, Ferrer, is George Clooney's cousin, which is, I did not know that, but George Clooney is actually from my home state. I live in Kentucky. And I've actually been to his house, and I've met his dad, who is Nick Clooney, who's also famous in his own right. Oh, yeah. He accused Lynch of killing Jack Nance. Yeah, there's a whole other backstory there. But yeah, the arm was really out there, but very interesting. A new addition to the show. But you said your best friend tried to watch it without season 1 or 2 and was lost, and that's what Ralph is saying. That's my personal opinion, but I cannot decide that for you guys, because I know some people very much want to be involved in this season. So you guys can definitely try it out and see what you think if you want to just start it on season 3. And then if you have questions, you know, I'm happy to answer those if you're confused about something that may have happened in the past. But I personally would tell you to watch the first 2 seasons and the movie. But if you don't want to do that, you don't have to, you know, do whatever you want. Dadson says, you think the glass box was set up by someone to prevent Cooper from coming back? Probably. I feel like that's a very sinister deal there. What was the thing that came out and killed those 2 people, though? Because that was crazy. Ralph thinks the glass box is an exit port from the Black Lodge. Well, because Cooper was in it for a little bit, because he ended up in New York. I don't know, it was crazy. Agree with you, Nick, that Laura was beautiful as always and creepy, and she looked very similar. Yeah. I'm trying to think about what I'm going to do with 3 and 4. I don't know. Like, I'm thinking today I may film my videos where I just kind of sit down and give my thoughts, and I may do actually both, one for 1 and 2 and one for 3 and 4. So I could technically do a video for 3 and 4 this week, but then that, you know, next week is totally out because there's no new Twin Peaks if I do that. So I'm not really sure what to do. But I also know that when we do these chats, I want to do these on Monday, and then next Monday is Memorial Day in the US. So some people might not even be around for that. So I'm not really sure. What do you guys think? But I think I'll go ahead and put out both videos this week with me like sitting down and my thoughts about every episode that's available. You wish the old arm didn't go crazy because he was really cool in the role. See, I'm confused about some of that stuff. So is the old arm was he the man, what'd you call it? What is that name? The little guy? I really liked him. Here I go saying that again. Ralph says, unfortunately, Jack Nance was around when crack cocaine first came out and he got caught up in that. Is that the guy who played, what is his name? The Man from a Different Place or something? The Man from a Different Time? I love the James was always cool line. I mean, I think James was trying to always be cool, right? I think he's cool. I don't know. I don't think he's like a dork or anything. I'm also very excited for what they're going to do with Audrey Datson. When's she going to show up? I loved her. I loved her in the show because she was like smart and beautiful and just she was like a girl boss, you know? If they had had those back in the day, that would have been her. The Man from Another Place. So this is the guy that got caught up in cocaine. That's very sad. But you remember the Black Lodge opens every 25 years. This you got from Leland's story and Hawk's story from season 20. Okay. Oh, Pete Martell is Jack Nance and he's dead, correct? Correct. Okay. So what is going on with the Man from Another Place and why is he not around? Because you guys were saying he's still alive, correct? The guy who plays him, and why is he not in the Black Lodge, or is he not in this series anymore? Ben and Jerry were great, which is funny to say that now because I think of the ice cream, but they were great. They were always great, but they were probably funnier now. And we saw Ashley Judd for just like a second, but there's some people we haven't seen yet, like Amanda Seyfried. She hasn't been seen yet, so I don't know what she's doing. An audible whisper thinks the black and white scenes of the Black Lodge before Cooper moved to the red waiting room to try and leave. And that makes sense. But does anybody know who was the person that came out of the glass box to kill those two people? Someone may have answered that and I missed it, but I was wondering that. I feel like I had more questions for you guys and now I can't remember. Ralph thinks that Audrey might be Cooper's spirit guide. Yeah, I'm really wondering because she's been really secretive about what's going on with her in this season. Of course, everyone has been. Yeah, go Kai. I hope you enjoy it and watch it and come back and let me know what you think, or if you decide to just start watching it right now, please come back and let me know what you think about it. But yeah, I don't know what they're doing with Audrey. I know Sherilyn is in this, but I don't know how. And I think that's another cool thing is that we have all these players in this show and they're not throwing them all, like they could have put them all into episode 1 and they didn't, you know, and I've seen all 4 and there's some people we haven't seen yet and I don't know what that means. But that's okay. And so like the Matthew Lillard stuff, we just got like a little bit of that. And I think that'll be revisited too. Don't you guys think so? Because we didn't get much of that. The Man from Another Place, the arm has evolved into that tree. So why didn't they bring back the Man from Another Place, the actor who played him in that form? Was it that he didn't want to do it or they just didn't want to go there? Or does anybody know? I'm just curious. That's what it is. Okay. He accused Lynch of being a murderer and a pedophile. There we go. That's the one you're talking about. I kept thinking we were talking about Pete Martell's, the actor who played Pete Martell was the one who accused. Okay. That makes so much sense. Thank you. That makes all the sense in the world. All right. I thought he was cool. Oh, Lord. Somehow this has attracted some, you know, spammers, which it's not a surprise that Twin Peaks would attract some strange people. Hopefully I've gotten rid of those people. All right. Remove. Yes, let's remove that. Okay. Anyway, yeah, so this is enlightening. I appreciate that. And for some of you who've watched this watched it back in the past, I think it's helpful for me sometimes because I'm going to have some questions. I totally remember him as Shaggy, Matthew Lillard. I just kept thinking about him as Shaggy last night. I was like, Shaggy, which is funny because Shaggy's a nice guy. And definitely Matthew Lillard was not a nice guy in Scream. And he's definitely probably a murderer in this show. Ralph says Audrey with Pete and Andrew more than likely died in the bank explosion due to Ben Horn not mentioning her, having any pictures of her in his office. Yes, I agree. I kind of think she died. That makes me very sad, but she's still going to be in the show in some way, so I have hope there. But I don't know why they want, like, you know, they wanted to keep going with this show. This show was canceled, so I'm not even sure why they killed her off back in the day. Like if like in 1993 they had a new season, like why did they kill her off? I don't know. No, Shaggy from the Scooby-Doo movie, what's his name played him? Matthew Lillard was Shaggy in one of the Scooby-Doo movies, but it's probably been 2000, around 2000 or something. Datsun says that the history of Twin Peaks book is Audrey survived the explosion. Really? So I don't know. Well, I really don't know if that's correct. I don't know. The person all in black in the jail cell was very creepy. Like they panned to that person after we saw Matthew Lillard freaking out. I don't know who that is. I don't know if anyone knows. I don't know if we're supposed to know. Tyler, thank you so much for being here. Yeah, Inaudible says your theory is that the box creature is what Bob and things like him truly look like when not in a human host. And that to me makes a lot of sense because that thing was awful and creepy. But how many of these things are out there? You know, I don't know. Fornia says if Shaggy's a murderer, did Bob possess him temporarily? I think, yeah, well, and he may still possess him. I don't know. Because the woman he was cheating with was shot in the eye. Same for his wife. And Cooper Bob did that. Yeah. Well, and then Cooper Bob shot that woman with the lawyer's gun, the one she was having an affair with. So they're going to pin that on him. So I feel like there's a lot more to know about that storyline that we will get more from, but we just haven't yet. I don't think they're dropping it there because it's like unresolved. But I feel like Matthew Lillard, and what is his name? He's a principal. I forget his name on there. Yeah, I think he didn't really know that he killed this woman, but yet he did because he was possessed and, you know, his fingerprints were everywhere. So I think it's like a Leland situation. But with Leland's situation, Bob was always inside of him till he died. So I don't know if this guy still has a Bobish character inside of him or demon, or it was temporary. So I don't know. Okay, so I guess Matthew was in a sequel I didn't see with Scooby-Doo. Yeah. Datsun says the book came out last year and was written by Mark Frost. So yeah, it's got to be right then. So I'm hoping that she survived. Lionel says good thing about this show is that we're not going to have any clue of what will happen on next episodes. And there's never any promos or anything. And I think that's good. So right now, for those of you who want me to theorize about what's going to happen, and I have watched 4 episodes, I don't really know. But I think that's okay. I don't always want to know. Ralph says that the Black Lodge wants Bob back and they're tasking Cooper to bring him back. Yes, because it's time for Bob to come back. So let's hope he gets there. Nick says these 4 episodes have inspired you to write a small screenplay and direct something. Well, yeah, something weird and strange and weird. Absolutely. That's awesome. And they are really inspiring and they're different. Even though it's been all these years, I feel like the show is still like innovative and very different than anything else. I see elements of stuff like, to me, I saw like kind of got an American Horror Story vibe, but not really. But anyway, Twin Peaks was first, and I feel like it's just unique is what I would say about it. Ralph says because of Lynch's love for music, he's highlighting musical groups at the end of each episode, and these are like current musical groups. And I feel like the group in episode 2 was also in like 3 or 4, but I think that's very cool. Ralph says Cooper, Bob, and Mr. Hastings' wife. Yes, absolutely. They set him up for the murder. And that was the lawyer who they set up for the murder. And I knew he was going to kill that woman too. I was like, she's dead. Because Cooper Bob he is savage. I mean, he does not care. Yeah, I do like the groups. And it's kind of like an homage to the old school Twin Peaks when they had that one group. I don't even know if they were like actually famous at the time, but they would perform in that bar, you know? So it's kind of like reminiscent of that. But anyway, I'm going to film my probably 2 videos tonight about all of the episodes and split them up. So I just feel like as time goes on, we'll have more people at these chats and more interest in the show. And I think there'll be new people who have watched everything. Marissa says you're still shocked by the scenes from the first 2 seasons being on TV. Some scenes were fairly R-rated. Yeah, and just think of what they're doing now. And if you get to see the movie, there's a lot of risque things going on there. And I know the movie was old, but of course it was a movie which was like an R rating, so they can do whatever on that movie. Even, I mean, it was the 90s, but it's not like it was like the 1890s. I don't know. I mean, you know, right. But we've progressed a lot as to what is allowed on TV since then. Absolutely. Yeah, part 3 is funny. I laughed a lot at part 3. Very much like that. Ralph says Cooper Bob is scary because every time he enters a room, somebody dies. That is pretty much the truth. And he has no soul, obviously. He does not care. And just like how he dealt with Daria, she was like, "Are you going to kill me?" He's like, "Yes, Daria." Like, no expression. Actually, I had an expression, but he had none. He's just like, whatever, because he doesn't care, because he's basically like the devil. But I think that Kyle is just killing it in that role, and I love seeing him expand to that. I don't know if I've ever seen Kyle play something like that. I'm not like a super fan of his, and I haven't seen him in a ton of stuff. He was a jerk on Sex and the City, but he wasn't a murderer. But I love it. I love him. I think he's really good. Really, really good. But I want to thank you guys so much for being here. And for those of you who have still not watched, like I said, if you want to try it out, jump into season 3, go right ahead. If you want to watch the old shows, that's what I would suggest. And if you have any questions along the way, you can leave me a comment or come to the chats and ask questions about what happened in the past or how that connects to the present or whatever. I'm happy to help you with that, because you guys always help me with my present day questions. But I loved it. I'm so excited for where this is going to go. And thank you guys again for chatting with me about it, because I definitely want to talk to people as soon as it ended. Talk to people who watch everything to be like, what did you think about this and this and this? And that's kind of why I started this channel, or exactly why I started doing this stuff. So it pays off in some ways. Fournier says Cooper Bob has a hit out on him though. Can't wait to see where that goes. Yeah, and some other manifestations of Cooper have issues too in the real world. Who were you on the phone with? Jack? Oh yeah, I knew she slipped up when Daria said she was talking to Jack, because I knew he was dead, or I figured he was dead, and then he said he was dead, and we knew she was going to die at that point, so that was stupid of her to lie. But thanks for being here. I hope you guys have a good week, and look forward to my videos about my thoughts with 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 coming soon. So bye guys.